One of the biggest movie franchises of all time is Marvel. So in today's video, I will be making every Marvel movie in Lego. Now this will be a 6-part series where in today's video, I will be making every MCU Phase 1 movie. And then in the next videos, we will be making Phase 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we will also do another video making every Fox and Sony Marvel movie in Lego. So if you do enjoy this video, then make sure to subscribe as well as like the video and turn notifications so you don't miss out on when those videos come out. But with that being said, everyone, let's get into it. So first off, we have Iron Man. Now this film released in 2008 and stars Robert Downey Jr. And if it wasn't for this film, the MCU wouldn't be where it is today. And even though this film is over 15 years old, it still holds up very high compared to other Marvel movies and is by far definitely one of my favorite Marvel movies of all time. Now, although this film has a lot of really iconic moments, the most iconic moment to me personally when I was growing up was the Mark III suit up. I just thought it was such a badass scene, so we're definitely going to be recreating that in Lego today. Now, of course, before I began, I needed a base. So essentially what I did was I used the plate that appears in the bottom of the original Daily Bugle set that came out in 2013, and that was the base done. I ended up using these jumper pieces to get Iron Man in the center of the build, used the mechanical arms from the armory sets, and then I also tiled off the sides, and overall I think it looked quite good. Then I got my Iron Man Mark III minifigure. I used the one with the new helmet, but it doesn't really matter which one you use. And then I also got a Pepper Potts minifigure as well and placed her there, as she is technically in one of these scenes, and this was the Mark III suit up done. But speaking of Iron Man, let's talk about Iron Man 2. Now initially when this film released, it wasn't the best received movie by Marvel fans due to the fact that it was a massive downgrade compared to the first Iron Man movie. However, I was still a massive fan of it and I thought it was a very enjoyable film. However, my most favourite scene from that film was definitely the Mark V suit up. I just thought it was such a cool sequence overall, and the fight scene was really good, and I think that was definitely my favourite part of the whole film. So let's recreate that in Lego today. Now honestly, this was a really hard build to do due to the fact that I had such a little space, and also I was limited with the pieces. But essentially what I did was I used the ladder piece to represent the wiring, used a Lego taxi from the Ultimate Spider-Man Bridge Battle set, and then I used these tile pieces to tile off the bottom, added some flame pieces to give it the fire effect, of course. Then I added the minifigure, so we had Pepper Potts, Iron Man Mark V, and Whiplash. Not that one, this one. And then I placed them on the ground, and then I had the chain piece and I wrapped it around Iron Man and suffocated him. One of my favorite Avengers is Captain America, so let's do Captain America the First Avenger next. Now, if I'm being completely honest with you, I'm not really a massive fan of this film. I think it's okay, but it's definitely the worst Captain America film in my opinion out of all of the three. And there's not really too many iconic moments in this film in my opinion to do as a Lego set, and the only two ones I could actually think of was the lab scene where Steve Rogers is transformed into Captain America and the final fight. However, I decided to go with the final fight, mainly because I just personally prefer to watch that scene. So let's get into it. So this is what I came up with for the build. Essentially what I did was I used a bunch of these translucent glass pieces that I got from the Daily Bugle, attached them to the plate, then tiled off the rest of the plate, and then I added this 2x2 grey brick, put a stud in the middle, and then added the Tesseract. Then I added the minifigures being Red Skull as well as Captain America. Now the Captain America I actually ended up using was this one here, the comic book based version, mainly because I just thought that was the most accurate one to use. And also in the Lego Marvel Avengers game, when you do play Captain America the First Avenger as a level, they do actually use that same minifigure. One Marvel movie that is commonly disliked by a lot of Marvel fans is Thor. This film came out in 2011, and while it's not the worst Marvel film ever, because there are a lot more that are worse, such as, you know, Thor Love and Thunder, that film was absolutely atrocious. It's definitely not the best Marvel movie to date. However, one scene that I really loved to watch in that film was the scene where Thor tries to lift his hammer, but is unable to do so because he is not worthy anymore. I just thought it was such a touching scene, and I think it was a pretty interesting sequence as well. So I'm definitely going to be trying to recreate this in Lego. So essentially what I did was I ended up using a few of these sand pieces and made this rock-like structure, so the hammer could go onto that. Used a bunch of these tan and grey pieces to represent the muddy structure underneath, and then I attached Thor with his hammer onto the rock structure, and overall I think it turned out quite accurate. Now, even though Thor wasn't that great in 2011, in 2012 Marvel released the best Marvel movie out of them all, and that is the first Avengers film. I remember watching this in cinemas with my parents, and it was such an amazing experience. And this film has the most iconic Marvel moment ever, and that is the amazing 360-degree shot of all of the Avengers teaming up. So we definitely have to recreate that in Lego today. Now, if I'm being completely honest with you, the actual background for this scene is quite boring. All it is just flames and destruction because they are on a road. So essentially all I did was I ended up using the plate, and then I added a bunch of the dark grey tiles into the build, and then I used a bunch of the jumper pieces as well, so I could place all of the Avengers into the center and have them all around each other to recreate that 360-degree shot. And then I ended up using a bunch of the flame pieces as well to, of course, represent the fire and destruction that was caused in the background. And then all I had to do was place the minifigures onto the stand. Now, overall, I think that it looks really good with all of the figures on there, and I think it definitely does improve the model by quite a bit, because even though the actual base wasn't that great and it was quite simplistic in my opinion to represent the rubble and destruction, I think placing all of the figures on there definitely does upgrade this model a lot, and it looks really, really good. So essentially what I did was I put Iron Man in the center, added his blasters on the feet as well as on the hands as well. Overall, I think that looks quite effective. And then I placed all of the other Avengers around him as well. I had to use the Hulk minifigure instead of the big fig due to the fact that it just didn't look great, the big fig, placing it on this base, because obviously the base is quite small and it just didn't fit in scale properly with all of the other characters as well. So I think using the figure just looked a little bit better. And then I used all of the other Avengers as well, and overall I think it actually looks really, really good like this. But there we go, everyone. With that being said, this is the end of the video. I have made every MCU Phase 1 movie so far. There will definitely be a part 2 making every MCU Phase 2 film, so if you don't want to miss that, then make sure to smash that like button as well as subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on when that does release. Let me know down in the comments below what you think of the mocks and the models that I have built in today's video, and if you have any suggestions for any of the scenes that you want me to recreate from any of the Phase 2 Marvel films. I'll talk to you guys soon, so peace out, see you later, and bye bye.